participate in how to improve Miami. Love it. Please keep coming and bring your friends and family and let's fill this place up. All right, I'm going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Chuck, can you do the next thing?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Holy Father, we are so grateful and so thankful that we live in the country we live in, the state we live in, and especially the city the town that we live in. Miami is a wonderful place with wonderful people and caring people. And we're just so thankful for them, and we ask that you watch over all of us and keep us safe and help Miami become what it wants to become. And we ask that you help us in this meeting, watch over those who are leading it, guidance in the Holy Spirit upon them, and guide them in the decisions, in what how they talk to each other, how we listen to each other, as that is what it's all about, and we understand that. For it is you who show us what love is, and we do love you, and we love this town, we love the people in it. We ask that you watch over those who are watching over us, including the police, the fire departments, the emergency responders, physicians, hospital personnel, medical personnel, all those, as they try to help us to stay alive and do well in our lives. We also ask that you watch over those who protect this great nation. Those who are out especially in the far ways and are by themselves and are at risk. Watch over them and help them and give them the strength and guidance and help that they need. Again, we glorify you, we honor you, and we're just so privileged to be here in Miami, and we're just so thankful for it. And we pray this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Chuck. Okay. Roll call.
Mayor Madrid,
Present.
Vice Mayor Gonzalez,
Present.
Councilmember Medina,
Present.
Councilmember Moat,
Here.
Councilmember Ryman,
Here.
Councilmember Sosh,
Here.
and Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 4, consent agenda. All items listed below are considered consent calendar items and may be approved by a single motion unless removed at the request of a council member for further discussion and action. Other items on the agenda may be added to the consent calendar and approved under a single motion as well. 4A, consideration of possible action to approve the minutes of August 11, 2025, regular meeting. Item 4B, consideration of possible action to approve the Town of Miami payroll for August 3rd, 2025, $99,618.78. Item 4C, consideration of possible action approve library card sign-up month, September 2025 proclamation. Item 4D, consideration and possible action to approve request from Miami High School to close Sullivan Street to traffic starting at Miami Avenue and moving in at William Plaza, and to use town electricity and restrooms at the Miami Veterans Memorial Park, all for the homecoming parade on Friday, October 10th, 2025, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. With the town to provide traffic control, barricades, as deemed necessary by Miami Police Department. Yes.
I'd like to have that 4D moved to the regular agenda.
Okay? Do that.
Mayor,
Yes.
excluding 4D, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda items for A, 4B, and 4C. As stated.
I'll second.
Okay, Councilman Massage made an effort to approve items up to 4C, 4A, 4B, 4C. Vice Mayor it always helped by approving that as well. So we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Gonna bring up 4D.
Moves down to the, where we go, the regular business.
Yes,
Okay.
before the item 98, you can bring it to the agenda.
All right, then we'll go to item 5, committee reports and general demands. 5A, consideration and possible action to approve the general demands for August 1 through August 14th, 2025 for $140,799.46. Yes.
Alexis, I guess you would say on page 1, and going into page 2, can you let me know what this Eurofins environmental testing solution is? I've never seen this before, and I see increments of charges of $35 before. So is this something new that we're doing? Because like I said, I've never seen it before.
Vice Mayor, yeah, that's, we switched from Aquatic to Eurofins. It's just a couple miles away. And for the same price, we're doing our daily fecal coliform testing there.
Okay.
And the reason was they provide an online database so we could check it daily on there. So a little more responsive in the reporting.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I was just confused because I was like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So just clarifying that. Thank you.
But in addition to that, the platform online is going to help the communication between Freeport and Miami on the reporting.
Yes.
Josh, did you get the garbage truck fixed this week?
We did, yes.
Good. We'll be on time.
Yes. Be on time.
Anybody else?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve committee reports and general demands. 5A as stated.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Sash made a motion to approve 5A. And Councilman Stewart seconded. All in favor?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Alexis, I do have another question. On page 4, just kind of, just wondering on the sequences of checks. It went from 14,979 to 14,986. Is there a gap? Why was there a gap in the sequence?
Those checks are from different accounts. We have two checks, and those that go for obligation to other states and clearinghouse, we use it as in different account. That's the reason
But there's a jump.
Yeah, I see that it's a 14976, for example, for Attorney General Texas, that's coming from a different account, that's manual checks.
So where's those checks at? How come they're not in the sequence?
Well, the report is run by, I believe,
Because you wrote another check after the fact,
yeah,
when it goes from 14,986, and then it goes automatically, so if there's another account, it should be showing up somewhere.
It is the same payroll account, it's just sometimes the check, is, a manual entry, and then we just have to reflect it, but it's all in sequence, because we're at, 149.76, and that check just, is a manual entry, that's all it means. So we skip some when we print them, but then we continue the sequence, either it's a check, a certain amount, like, we printed 10 checks, right? So we printed them in paper, but then the following sequence continues to a manual entry.
But usually it shows, like on page 1, it shows if it's a manual check with an M. I don't see those M marked anywhere else on that check sequence.
Yeah, I have all the checks here, so I can,
Should it then showing up an M in those other sequence numbers?
no, it's,
If it's a manual?
so that one was a, paper check. So 149.86 was a paper check.
So if they're manual, should they have an M next to it? Like the other page on page 1 with an M for manual?
I don't know why it printed that way then, so I can look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Go on to item 6A, town manager's reports.
good evening, Mayor and Council. We're going to address those letters that you have in front of you. The first one that I want to inform is from the government office, Arizona government office. They denied the 2 grants that we present for the police department, but at the same time, incoming September, we're going to be having some conversation at the House, Representative House, as you know. They want to support the town of Miami on their police department needs. And we're going to present copies of the grant to them and then the budget that they request in order to support the town of Miami. The second letter is coming from the office of Senator Kelly and Gallego. They denied the town of Miami low water bridge for Mackey's Camp funding for the design. But with the support of the Councilman Stewart, on Thursday afternoon, we have a meeting with office staff from Gallegos. We explained the situation. They're going to be supporting the town in the future. Congressional direct spending. We need to have another conversation regarding is the verbiage that we use for the grant. It was a factor to not be approved. That's what we have at this time.
Thank you. Item 6B, current events by the mayor, that's me. I want to say a little bit about our upcoming strategic meeting coming up on Saturday, how we want to approach it. I'm hearing a lot of things from different people, and there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding on what we're trying to accomplish here. even though the strategic plan has already been approved by the council. So I want to say a few things here that I wrote down. And it's not, it's a little bit lengthy, but it's this is where I'm coming from with my experience and my background, and what we need to be doing to stay as one of the competitors going after grant money and getting our towns all of the work that we want to do to bring Miami back to its glory days. So let's just picture the state of the town of Miami 5 years from now. Well, 5 years from now versus other towns and cities in the Copper Corridor, including Globe, Superior, Kearney, Stafford, etc. We can safely say that Miami has completed the present sewer repairs and the library roof and the flooring repairs. Our town maintenance demands have continued to surface, and associated work has never stopped, and it never will. We'll always have maintenance. Whereas we see our competitor cities and towns, noted above, have fostered an economy of millions of dollars because they moved forward with their strategic plan, working in a cohesive collaboration with both the town council and the town manager and staff in year 2025. In doing so, they were perceived to be very capable of implementing their strategic goals, and as such, assuring the grantors and the donors knew that their contributions would be well spent. Whereas Miami is perceived to be incapable of providing similar proof and assurance because they have failed to implement the strategic plan in year 2025 and chose to follow their town manager's preference of holding back on any such implementation. So do we choose to agree their mayor that has 50 years of industrial engineering and construction management experience versus the town manager who has 3 years of town management experience? Do we focus on the growth of Miami while the economic opportunity of a lifetime is rapidly approaching via huge worldwide demand in copper driven by EVs and AIs? Or do we sit back and focus on town maintenance that will never cease to exist? So, shall we vote on it right now? Wait. That's not necessary. We already have several weeks ago all the ayes, unanimous vote to move forward with implementation. That was part of the package. So I want to be, just want to offer up where I'm coming from. We don't need to be going, trying to reduce what we have to go after. We need to get it. And I know that there's some comments about cost. And I keep saying that what we want to do is get some committees that are going to work with us pro bono. It's not going to cost us anything. And we can get started on a lot of the priority items. We don't have to wait. We don't have to wait to get more money. It's not going to cost us anymore. We're going to get a lot smarter, a lot faster about what we want to do and what it's going to take to do it. So I'll leave it at that. And also I wanted to notify everybody that's going to attend the Saturday session that we had to move from William Plaza to the senior center today. We just found that out. We got it confirmed by Christine. So we'll be over there, and I think, it's gonna be a lot better place, a lot more tables. We're gonna have water, coffee, snacks, keep everybody going, working together. So that's all I got to offer on this one now. Six B, Councilman Medina.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I got a very lengthy report, but it's mostly aimed at the council. When you guys get a chance, if you haven't already read it, you'll see where I'm coming from. Anyway, just a reminder of the passing of Alfredo Gutierrez and Ruben Duarte. The town of Miami recognizes their passing by placing the flags, U.S. and Arizona flags at half-staff. I believe this is the longest we ever had flags at half-staff. I can't get an accurate date to raise the flag concerning Alfredo Gutierrez because he was such a outstanding person from our locale, the state, ASU, Chicanos por la Causa, and all the many positions he held. So it might be down for a couple more days. Item 2. Again, William Plaza Museum and Cultural Center landscaping. I would ask for volunteers like the local gardening club to help with suggestions. Years ago, I had a good friend of mine that was the president of one of the local gardening clubs. I forget their name, their title. He kept giving me ideas as to keep our area green, the town of Miami. He had a lot of good suggestions, and this was many councils back. They did not listen. We had some huge, beautiful trees in the back of William Plaza, some pine trees, and it shaded that area very well. And they started to dry up, and the blame fell on the pine beetle. So when I talked to this friend of mine, I said, what can we do to fight these pine beetles? He said, simple, water. All you gotta do is add lots of water to most of your plants, and that's the best medicine. So anyway, because of that, they felt that they were drying up, which they weren't, and the group went ahead and cut our trees down. One of the ones that they claimed was the worst was the one that's right by close to the entrance to the gym. But it's too close to the power lines, and they didn't want to tackle that one. And that tree's still going and doing well. Item 3. Oh, okay. In the early part of 2000 and 2006, in that area, I attended a symposium down in the city of Maricopa concerning growth and especially attracting industrial-based industries as well as general businesses. Experts stated that a certain formula must be met to qualify for this competitive race. A, plenty of flat land. B, a viable artery like a freeway or interstate highway. C, a railroad system not too far away. D, an airport not too far away. E, and plenty of water. There was a good amount of discussion, but the experts pointed out that at that time, the only contenders were the cities of Maricopa, Casa Grande, Florence, and the up-and-coming areas of Anthem and Santan, which I believe Santan has become a town now, or a city.
Yes.
Congratulations to Santan. Okay, and the discussion revolved around what the smaller towns do to survive. The answer was the same as I had heard at other symposiums: identity. The town should have identity. We have plenty of that as far as historical and events. Every town has its own attraction and character. Some towns are interesting, friendly, clean, attractive, and have many local events. Miami's challenges are Almaguey, vacant, dilapidated buildings and homes. And of course, one of the town's biggest challenges are streets. Flood zone level needs to be lowered in order to attract new franchise type businesses like an Arby's or sporting goods store, etc. And then I threw in a little bit on the strategic plan, which I don't think we need to say more about it. We need to have it. And, I'm gonna try and add a little bit of history to my reports. A lot of people tell me that I'm full of it. I don't know what they're talking about, but anyway. And now I would like to finish by interjecting a little local history. Back in the mid-60s, when the Bullion Plaza Ballroom was going strong, and the Sanchez brothers were sometimes entertaining there, a large group of mostly young Puerto Rican males that were attached to the Job Corps in San Carlos. A lot of people have never heard about the San Carlos Job Corps. And most of these young men were from the New York area. They descended on our town with a bang. Many hearts were broken on both sides, which included my cousin Mary Jane Contreras, a young Puerto Rican young man by the name of George wanted to marry my 14-year-old cousin Mary Jane and take her back to New York with him. Of course, my Aunt Jenny said no way, that she was too young and New York was too far. I know it doesn't mean very much, but I'm going to try to have a little bit of history like that whenever I get a chance on these reports. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 7, call to the public. Pursuant to Arizona's revised statutes 38-431.01H, at this time, members of the public may address the town council on any issue within the council's jurisdiction that is not on the agenda. There's a 3-minute limit for each speaker. Council's response is limited to responding to criticism, asking staff to review a matter commented on, or asking that a matter be on a future agenda. Council members are not permitted to discuss or take legal action on a matter raised during the call to the public.
Don Wilson, 626 Old Mountain Road in Lowell. Just wanted to come up and make sure, call to the public here, that you attend the strategic planning meeting on Saturday now at the Senior Citizen, and that starts at
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock still, okay?
We'll be open at 8:30.
Okay. So we want to make sure that we get there. Want to make sure that you understand that we are definitely for the strategic plan. We will be there. Several of my class members have already volunteered to be on any committee that you guys so need. So we're ready to go anytime you guys are. We want to find out what's going on. We have to move forward. I was lucky enough to look at a strategic plan in Superior and look at a strategic plan in Safford in the last couple of weeks. We're behind, say the very least. And we need to make sure that these strategic plans are brought forward and moving. If you haven't been to Superior lately, you need to go down and look at Superior in the confines of their town. You'll find out a lot of things have been done down there, paint, sidewalks, all kinds of different things. And moving, on as far as the public is concerned, the same thing in Safford, Arizona. We're behind. And I'm glad that our mayor is pushing forward with this strategic plan. And again, we're here behind you 150%.
Richard Huerta, former resident of Miami. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's good to hear talk about the strategic plan. But I have a grievance to present to this governing body tonight. On the 15th of this month, my only intent was to attend a meeting on a club here in Miami that I am a committee member. The meeting was held in this room. As soon as I walked in, I was engaged by Alexis Rivera. Alexis Rivera began talking to me and told me that he had other career opportunities available to him. Why would he tell me that? I attribute that to a lack of good judgment and common sense. I am not impressed with that or intimidated. What I am is suspicious. On the same day, Alexis Rivera told me that he does not support the strategic plan because the sewers and the roads need to be repaired. The strategic plan aims to do that just at a faster pace. But what happened to your can-do approach, Mr. Rivera? In the Globe Miami Times dated April 19th, 2024, written by David Abbott, it stated that you are dedicated to ushering in a new and prosperous era in a place that has seen fortunes come and go throughout the years. Mr. Rivera said, quote, I have my challenges because when you bring an aggressive agenda and big policy to a small region, people think, no, it's not going to happen. End quote. Rivera said, it's going to happen. We are going to continue driving that energy to elevate the quality of life for the people of Miami. That's my goal. End quote. My, how your goals have changed. From optimism to defeatism. You have gone from it's going to happen to no, we can't do that. And from what I've heard, I believe that I can confidently say that you and some on the council are all on the same page. And because of that coalition, progress for Miami is being prevented. We the people are willing and eager to collaborate with the council and staff. On August 30th at 9 a.m. at the Strategic Plan Workshop, the people will find out who on the council and staff are interested in serving the interests of the people of Miami, Arizona. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Chuck Broder, 525 West Sullivan, Miami. I live in Miami. Point is, living in Miami, the town council has made some changes that kind of make things difficult for us who live in Miami. One thing is, you moved the closure of streets to the consent agenda so that there can be no discussion. There can be no information given to those people who you're going to close the streets on, and that is very disappointing. The second thing that I was wondering, last meeting was mentioned about 7 to 9 trucks that will be put up for auction. We have the auction house here, and having the auction house here, providing some of those vehicles to be sold in the auction house would help business in Miami. So that's one of the things that I hope those people who are talking about Miami, and especially who don't live in Miami, that they realize the importance of supporting businesses in Miami. Otherwise, there is no Miami. Thank you.
I'm Mike Schultz. I bought a house here in Miami about 5 years ago.
I wasn't planning on speaking today, but some issues have come up that I'd like to contribute to.
Mike, can you speak up closer to the mic? That work?
1985, dual population of Miami, Arizona. Bump it up 10 years, 1995. Bump it up 2005, 2015, 2025. You put the population on a graph and it doesn't even go level. It is down, down, down. I had something I'm very familiar with, and I've seen it work other places, was something I checked with Alexis on. But I didn't realize at the time he was lying to me, and that was to get a swap meet and carnival type event going 3 days a weekend, every weekend, all year long, weather permitting. I was told this property could be used for expansion, that could be used for expansion, and then it dawned on me when I was insulted on that piece of property across the street from Wild Horses Saloon, what would it take to get into that? $2 million. That's a quote. You cut that figure in half, it doesn't rise to the level of batshit crazy. Now, I'm going to be addressing this meeting here over the next, probably the next several meetings, including some stuff, laws that are broken. And in fact, if somebody wanted to put it together, this town could lose its right to exist by Arizona statutes and laws if people wanted to pursue that angle. Because we have a town manager. I can't work with a guy. Nobody can work with a bold-faced liar. So there you have it. We'll see you next meeting.
What else? Okay. We'll move on to item 9, new business. Start with 40. Go ahead.
Okay, the reason I asked that this be moved to the regular agenda is for a discussion in more detail about the routing and what cars would have to be moved, what streets would be blocked. Mr. Chuck Roeder asked me to do that, so I'm going to let him speak to his questions. It'd be easier for you to address that.
Well, one of the things that I noted that when I pointed out to Councilman Ryman and a couple other of you, that is the day of the burger burn. And I'm not sure if they're going to, if the part of the high school will be using the park or not. But because we're not informed of what's going on, like I said earlier. And I don't want to stop the homecoming parade. I just want to know, first of all, when events are going to come in and when events are going to leave, because we park right there in that area. And it makes it difficult for those businesses that are especially in front of the park and besides the park to know where they can park and where they can't park. And, you know, in the past, there's been events that it was going to happen within a few hours, and they were actually canceled because it was said there was not enough time for the events, for one to move out and the other to move in. So that was my concern with this particular event is, you know, when, you know, as our because the car show was not put on the agenda, we had no chance to comment on that, but it looks like we are going to have to cancel our auction on that weekend because I mentioned something at this last auction that we might have to go to nights, and they all said we can't be here. And again, we'd like some communication that we know what's going to happen when and who's going to be where, that we can know where we can park and where we can't park, and what noise is going to go on and everything else. Thank you.
Hello, Joy Wilson from Miami High School. This is Sophia. She's the senior class president for Miami High School. So we requested for the park or for downtown use from noon to 2. The parade will actually start at 1. And so set up the lineups. We'll start around about 12:15 as the usual time. We'll start with lineups over here by the YMCA. They'll check in with me like they always do, and then we'll set them down the road at 1 p.m. For the park, we just asked for access to the bathrooms in case people need to use the bathroom. And then also the electricity for the sound system to announce the floats coming by the park. Other than that, we don't need anything else at the park. The parade usually lasts roughly half hour-ish. We just put 2 o'clock to account for any cleanup or making sure we got all of our stuff out of the way at that point. Usually about time the parade starts, we move the barricades over here at the YMCA and then just start everything down the street.
Joy, I'm the one that heads up the car show, and I see 2 o'clock, which I think will give us more than enough time, because we usually start around 3 o'clock, because the burger burn runs from 4 to 6, so we just ask to be prompt. If you can be out there too, that would be great.
Yeah, that'll be fine. And then I had also told Councilman Gonzalez that we'll make sure in our advertisement for homecoming that we'll put the car show and the schedule of events. So it'll be on our stuff too, because that money for that also helps us go to Leagues of Town of Cities every year as well. So we're going to make sure we put it in our advertisement as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Christine Dorothy, I'm the Director of Community Services, and I do oversee events for the town of Miami. Not one time have I ever been here that the Miami schools ever take longer than the parade starts at 1 and we're done by 2 o'clock, and that's me helping clean and getting everything going. I'm not sure. I think that there's some confusion on events like that, you know, as long as the council approves it, I don't see why we have to go before the Downtown Coalition and sit there and explain when we're here explaining to you guys what we have going on. And I'm sorry, I'm talking out of line, but if we don't see no conflict, you know, with the events, I think it's great. Have the Miami Homecoming Parade, and we're gonna be done, and then the burger burn's gonna happen. If they lasted longer than 3 o'clock, we would have said, hey, there needs to be a date change or something would have been brought up. But just, that's my part, is that, you know, I think that sometimes we should check with like the people over events and maybe get what they have to say. But whatever you need, let us know. Thank you.
Chuck Broderback. First of all, my first question is, are they closing up Inspiration? I mean...
Talking about William Plaza?
Either one. No, Inspiration. Is the Burger Burn or is the homecoming parade going to close up Inspiration?
Mayor, the burger barn will have nothing to do with, we're not closing nothing down.
You're not going
Or the burger barn. The car show day will be closed.
The last time it was closed.
No, it wasn't. I did the burger barn 2 years ago, and we did not close any
Well,
side
we couldn't
streets
park.
or any main
We
streets.
couldn't park. I mean, the thing is, that's part of what we're talking about here.
Well,
And yeah, it's not just the business coalition, it is businesses. I'm talking whether you close a neighborhood street, a business street, or whatever. You know, it's good to inform the people. I can look at the difference of what we did with the car show with Wings of Hope, and the first year that they did it, people were very upset. The second year, when we communicated and talked and discussed, we got comments from the people. And the point is, we need to communicate what's going on, and yes, we need to know if Inspiration's going to be closed, you know, and any other streets or anything else, so that we don't have the problems we had with in past events. Thank you.
Okay. I think we got that one taken care of.
Mayor and council, for the sound system, it is from the school, or they're gonna be, we provide that 2 years to the road?
Yes, please, we can use your sound
Okay.
system. It's a lot easier, it's right here.
And the second element that we want to know, if they have flyers, that we can, it's possible to make the distribution that week in the day of the event, in order to maintain vehicles outside of the premises.
I don't think we really need any vehicles moved before the parade.
Okay.
With the lineup over here by the YMCA, I just lined them up all the way down the street, never really had any problems, especially with that dirt lot. Usually got plenty of space, and we stay away from any vehicles in that alley with that, business always has a lot of cars and stuff out there, so. We just go down and up the street and that dirt lot, and down the street next to the old Roman Secretary factory with the, books lined up there, and it's usually plenty of space.
Thank you.
Jordy, if you're gonna use that lot, I make a suggestion that you get all the money
Yeah.
and make sure that it's
Yeah,
doable.
when you can, you can get me number, so I can call it.
Yeah, if you wanna, call, town clerk, Darren, and she has the number, I don't have the number, but she does. And then, the other thing is, possibly, attending, prior before the October, homecoming, the business coalition meeting, and kind of just, somebody representing.
Yes,
and,
we need to meet with them to see if we can, do our decorating
Yes.
for the businesses before the parade starts.
Yes, so if you can coordinate with, I believe Mr. Bowman might be the judge of the coalition, kind of get a date when the meeting is, and just sort of be on the same page. Thank you.
Okay, we need to vote on this.
I move to set up to approve the use of Sullivan Street for the Miami High School parade.
Who seconded?
I'll second it.
Thanks. All right, Councilman Ryman moved to approve it. Councilman Stewart seconded. Move for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Moving on to 9A. Information, discussion, and possible action, presentation, and possible approval of fiscal year 2022, 2023 audit report. Matt Bingham and Kobe Powell. PLC.
Good evening, can you guys hear me?
I know, no louder.
Do I need to be a little louder? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hold on. Try it again.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Kind of quiet, but that's the best we can do, I don't know.
So I need to share my screen. I have a PowerPoint presentation. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Just wondering if you can see that screen.
No, we can see it.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Matt Bingham. I'm with Colby & Powell PLC, and I'm a partner with our firm. We're a public accounting firm in Gilbert, Arizona, and we work with municipalities and other smaller governments throughout the state of Arizona, doing consulting work and performing audits for a lot of those entities that we work with. And so we performed the annual audit for the town of Miami for your financial statements for 2022, 2023. And just wanted to present that to you tonight. I wanted to, before I start off, thank Alexis and Maria and the rest of the town staff for working with us. I know that when we come in, we can be a little bit of a disruption to the day-to-day, and just wanted to give them a shout out for getting us the stuff that we asked for in a timely way and working with us. So just wanted to acknowledge them. Before I start, also the council should have received 3 official reports from us. Hopefully you have those in front of you. I'll be referencing mostly the financial statement report, but there should be 3 reports that are addressed to council that you can that are important that were addressed to council and you'll need to review and look at. But so to begin my presentation, I wanted to talk a little bit about governmental financial statements, specifically the town of Miami's financial statements, and what we do as auditors. The financial statements of the town of Miami, as well as other governmental entities, they can be a little bit confusing because there's multiple financial statements within your financial statements. It's for example, for the town of Miami, these are all of the financial statements of the town of Miami. And when we perform an audit of your financial statements, we're actually performing an audit of each of these units, and we're opining as to whether those financial statements within the financial statements themselves are materially correct in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So the town of Miami has the governmental activities and business type activities, which make up the government-wide financial statements of the town of Miami. And then the general fund, HERF fund, transit fund, the senior center fund, as well as there's the grants fund and the library fund have been combined together and make up what's called the other governmental funds. And those make up your governmental fund financial statements. And then the utilities fund is your only proprietary fund, and so that makes it simple. And then you have the Fireman Investment Trust Fund, which is a fiduciary fund. So there's actually, there's 4 sets of financial statements within your financial statements, and they're all giving, all these financial statements have a specific purpose, and they're required by generally accepted accounting principles. Our purpose as auditors is to come in and perform an audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards, and sometimes uniform guidance depending on how many federal awards you receive and spend during the fiscal period. And we're there to provide an independent opinion as to whether the financial statements being presented to the council, to the public, that those financial statements contain no material misstatements, whether they're caused either by fraud or by error. As auditors, we don't necessarily opine on the results of operations. So if the town had a horrible year financially, that's not our responsibility to opine as to whether anything like that. We're just there to report on the financial statements, that those financial statements and those representations made by management are materially correct, and that a reasonable person could look at and not change their decision. We look at materiality, and so that they're not going to, that those financial statements can be relied upon. And so for this fiscal period that we did the audit on, it started in July 1st, 2022 and ended on June 30th, 2023. All these opinion units that we've mentioned in this previous slide here, the financial statements for these, we've given a clean opinion on, and we believe that the council as well as the citizens and any other users of the financial statements can rely upon these financial statements. As part of our process when we perform the audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, we gain an understanding of the internal control processes of the town. And if we ever come across any deficiencies in those processes that we consider significant enough, we're required to bring those to council so that they can be addressed, so that the council is aware of those and the council can choose whether or not to take action on those items. For this fiscal period that we're talking about, there were no deficiencies in internal control that we considered significant enough that they needed to be brought to council's attention. However, there was two items of potential non-compliance that we wanted to bring to your attention, and these really aren't new, or they shouldn't be new to the council, but the first being timeliness of annual financial reporting. So these financial statements, we issued them, I believe, in July of this year. So they're 2 years late. The state statute says that financial statements for a municipality like Miami should have their financial statements, their audited financial statements issued within 6 months after year end, and then the expenditure limitation report should be issued within 9 months after year end. And so obviously these financial statements are past that deadline. And then the second material non-compliance is related to departmental budgets. So a number of departments in the general fund for this fiscal year exceeded their allotted budget amounts, and these are each of the departments and the amounts that they exceeded the final budget. And so the state statute requires that really you shouldn't be exceeding amounts at the department level. There's no penalties that I'm aware of. The state's more concerned about exceeding the expenditure limitation amount, which the town did not exceed. However, just for managerial purposes and for public awareness and for just oversight and clarity of what's going on at the town financially, it's just a good idea to monitor these departments and keep track of where actual expenses are in accordance with budget. And if the town is going to exceed, a department's going to exceed a budget amount, an original budget amount, that it can be taken to council to possibly amend the budget and move some stuff around to enhance or increase the budget for that department if needs be. So, but you could, in the financial statement packet itself, if you need more details on these issues, that are found on pages 60 to 62 of the financials, the big packet that we issued. I wanted to go into a little bit of detail just of the financial statements for this year. I know it's a little bit out of date. These financial statements are over 2 years old, but just wanted to hit some highlights of the financial statements quickly and talk about pensions and net position. So I wanted to talk specifically about the public safety retirement system and what that's looking like over the last 8 to 9 years. So I've graphed out so you can see visually what the pension liability is for the public safety retirement system for the police officers and what it's doing. And so you can see that this fiscal period that we audited, it's at its highest point that it's ever been in the last nine or so years. If you wanted more detail as to why that's happening or what's happening within that system itself and that liability, a good place to look at that is actually within the financial statements themselves in the packet that we issued on page 52. There's a supplemental schedule that addresses and gives the details of what's happening with this liability, and so you could go to that page and find out and look at more detail. But basically, you can see in 2022 there was a sharp drop, and if you look at that detail, you'll see that our investments related that have been set aside to fund that liability, there was a nice amount of investment income, over $400,000 if I remember correctly, and so that kind of helped with that pension liability. But in 2023, we had an investment loss, and then our overall total pension liability increased significantly as well. But that's all on that page 52 schedule. Excuse me. Then I wanted to talk quickly about net position as well. I get asked the question a lot. How can we tell from these financial statements if we're improving financially or not? And so let me grab some water real quick. A good place to look in your financial statements is at the net position and see how it changed from the prior year. Did it increase or did it decrease? That's one place you can look. You can't just look on the financial statements themselves. You have to look at some non-financial statement items as well. We could be, our financial statements could say that we have all this cash in the bank, and that might look great on paper, but if all of our infrastructure is falling apart and it needs repair, then it kind of offsets that, right? So, but here in your financial statements, it's on page 6. Here's where you can see the net position, and it's broken down into multiple sections. You have the net position related to our infrastructure and capital assets. You have net position that's restricted. So, for example, like for HERF, any money that we have unspent of HERF would be down here, and that can only be spent on highways and streets. That's the biggest restricted amount that I see there. And then what you're left with is unrestricted net position. So basically what that number means is what you can carry into future periods to spend on future periods for whatever reason the town council sees fit. You're not restricted by any outside statutes or requirements. So this is what the net position looks like over the last 5 years, and you can see that it remains pretty steady. The concerning thing kind of is the governmental activities. There's not much net position there. In fact, the previous 4 years, it was in the red. This year, it happened to go into the black, ever so slightly. I think it's 195,000. So there is some small improvements year over year, but ideally it'd be nice to see that number up a little higher. And the reason for this, the increase, I think this year, the main thing looking at your financial statements is you guys received a refund from the IRS for fuel taxes, and that really helped out a lot during this fiscal year. That helped improve your net position by quite a bit. So you can see that if you talk about, look at the unrestricted net position, like I mentioned earlier, that shows basically what you have for future periods to spend, and it's not restricted in any form or fashion. And so the town of Miami, that number is still, it's in the red, and here's what it looks like in a graph. So you can see that there's, our governmental activities is deeply in the red, and then we have the business type activities, which is just the sewer fund. It's in the black and has been growing over the last 5 years, kind of offsetting a little bit the governmental activities, and so in total, you can see what it looks like. Ideally, again, this needs to be in the black. You have some rainy day savings for future periods, and but at this point, it's we don't really have any. We're basically living off of the reason why this is in the red is mainly due to our pension liabilities, and so if those weren't there, then those would be a lot smaller, if not a little bit in the black. But our pension liabilities are basically eating up our unrestricted net position. So that's why I wanted to talk about the pensions a little bit. But that's it for the financial statements. I know this information is over 2 years old, so it might be out of date. Hopefully things are a lot different today. I wouldn't know because I haven't done the work to know that yet, but that's what it looked like at least as of June 30th, 2023. So I don't know if there's any questions from the council that I can address.
I think you did a pretty good job of covering that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We've been working with the town for a number of years, and it's always a pleasure to be able to be of service to the town. So we appreciate you letting us come and perform the audit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to vote on this.
Yeah.
You do.
Were there any questions?
No, we have to vote for approval.
That's just here.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022-23 audit report.
Second that.
Okay. Vice Mayor Gonzalez made a motion to approve 9A, and Councilman Stewart, is that you? Made a motion to second it. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. 9A is approved. Go to 9B, information and discussion only, presentation of project update on Bloody Tanks wash flood mitigation study. Patrick Wolf, Senior Project Manager of Wilson and Company.
And also I have Rob Scrivo.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm Rob Scrivo. I'm Patrick's colleague. We're working on this one together. He's doing the day-to-day stuff. Thanks for having us tonight. We were here several months ago presenting on this topic, gave you an overview of what we were going to be doing for you and the Bloody Tanks Wash project itself. And so tonight we just wanted to come by. We've been working on it quite a bit. There's been progress made, and we wanted to give you an update. And so Patrick's going to go ahead and do that for you now. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, we're just trying to reconnect with the Zoom so I can present some of our findings.
Can you guys hear in the back?
I can talk louder.
Want to be sure.
See if we
We got a lot of complaints last time.
can- Sharing. No. Says I'm sharing. It's not opening. There we go. We have a pretty high-end computer program that's kind of going through your internet, so it's just taking a minute. There we go. So we met with you in late 2024, at the beginning of this project. We talked about what we were going to do, and we just want to give an update because we're about 55% complete. So earlier this year, we had Cooper Aerial come out and do some detailed mapping of the whole town limits. They came out with some field surveyors and laid some panel points and did a flight in December and then generated this mapping that you see here. And we took that information and we got the rainfall and the soils and we started developing an existing condition model, a two-dimensional model to look at the 100-year flood through Miami. And this was done not in consideration of the upstream fire. I'll get into that in a little bit here. And so over the last few months, we've been developing this existing condition model, and here's some of the results that we're seeing. And this is if upstream we never had the fire. And since that time, we've been coordinating with the Corps of Engineers. And when we started coordinating with them, we kind of met and we determined what tasks that we would do, what tasks they would do, and they're uniquely qualified to do these models with post-fire conditions. They have a lot of models that they've been doing in California where they can calibrate, and they've been adjusting some of their programs. So we just finished this existing condition model as if no upstream fire had occurred. We submitted it to them about a couple weeks ago. They're going to review that model, but they're also going to incorporate it, and they're going to put it in their program to look at, to compare with the upstream fire and what conditions are coming downstream. And once we get their comments, we're going to revise this model based on their comments. And now we're starting to look in areas with alternatives. Now they're going to design, they want to design what they call debris basins. And what these are is going to let flow through and is trying to capture all that fire, all the ash and all that sediment in an area where you can maintain it. It's going to, so after every rainfall, you're going to have to go in and clean that debris out. And so we started looking at some of these areas. We had a meeting with them a couple of weeks ago, and they were really interested in some of the areas within the wash itself, where they could do these, we're calling them small embankments. They're 10 to 15 feet high, and they're looking at those, but they're not quite at that point yet. So when I met with you in late 2024, I said our goal was to finish by the end of 2025, but when we started coordinating with the Corps, we wanted to work concurrently so there was no rework, and they could work on their stuff and we could work on our stuff. So we extended that so we could be finished in July of 2026. So we can work with them and they can build what they want, and we can look at some other alternatives that are gonna reduce flooding to the town. So I just wanted to kind of show you here some of the existing model results as you come towards the town and how it differs from the existing FEMA floodplain map. Specifically here at the culvert along US 60, you can see in this area here, it's not really inundated by the floodplain, where this area right now is in the FEMA floodplain map. And you can see that this culvert under US 60 doesn't quite have capacity, and that makes sense because ADOT only designs their culverts for 50 years. So what's happening is we got this flow that's over 15 feet upstream of the US 60, and it's hitting the culvert and it's starting to create backwater, and it's kind of overflowing the banks as you've seen and flooding all these structures that are to the south of US 60. And here's the wash as it comes through the town. And you can see the differences here. All these structures are in the current FEMA floodplain map, and we're showing them that they wouldn't be inundated during that event. And then it comes down through the town, and then you can see it starts getting really deep again as we hit near the town hall. And it flow goes down as through the town limits. We modeled this all the way down to the junction just downstream of Globe. So we have this existing condition model, so then we're starting to look at areas where we could do some improvements. I don't want to talk about those, so let me turn those on. And right now, when we're looking at this, we're looking at parcels, but we're also looking at areas where the topography would fit a solution. And, you know, because of Miami's, so it's so in size, everything's flowing to this wash, there's not like we can put this big regional storage basin in because we'd be removing a lot of structures. So what we're looking at is like things like here, putting a flood wall at this location to try to keep the flow from overflowing the banks and inundating these people. Here we're looking at putting in some sort of storage basin that's off to the side of the main flow of the wash with a levee. And the idea is as the flow in Bloody Tank's wash kind of builds up, it starts to fill this area and then it'll outlet into a culvert. So it kind of shaves the peak of the flow, and it'll make the flow a little bit longer through the town, but it should be reduced. And we're looking at this other offline storage basin here. It's a little bit bigger, and it's working within the contours. You can see it has a weir on this end, and then we'd have to do some improvements through here to Bloody Tank's wash, and then it has a culvert on the downstream end. And these are all at the initial stages of development. We're starting to look at these models and running them for these. We're taking the contours and modifying them to look at what this would look like and how it would reduce the peak. Here's another location just along US 60 where this wide open land we thought would be a good place to put another offline storage basins. And when we start evaluating these, we're looking at one each individually, and then we're going to start looking at them if we put 1, 2, or 3 in conjunction. And then we'll start looking at, well, what do these things actually cost? And some of these are really showing that they're producing some good results for some smaller flows, and some of these are showing that they produce no effect. So those ones are going to grade out early in this process where there's no benefit because it's not really reducing flow within the wash. Here's another area where we're looking at maybe putting an embankment with a culvert. The idea was to get flow to the pond back here and slow it down. This might be an area where the Corps will put in a debris basin instead of what we're proposing to do. So we just showed them that location as well as this other location for this other tributary. And then we have some other spots we're looking at as you cross the US 60, possibly improving this basin that's on the FMI property, making it deeper. You can already see we already got 15 feet of flow in here. So I think this one and our initial assessment wasn't really doing anything to reduce flooding downstream. So that's probably gonna, in the early end of the process, is probably not gonna grade out well. And those are the types of alternatives that we're looking. We have approximately 11 alternatives that we're looking at. 3 of them, though, the Corps preferred that they might become debris basins when they were within the Bloody Tanks wash itself. So we're not, those ones aren't high priority for us. Like, here's a perfect location where the Bloody Tanks was, the invert of the wash was way below US 60. We thought it'd be a good place to put in some debris basins. Let the debris, what we'd want is a maintenance road, an area where they can clean out before, and during the larger events, the embankment is just gonna hold 10 to 15 feet water behind it, and then it's gonna overtop and continue downstream. And really an initial concept of looking at these, it's not increasing the floodplain, because in these areas, it's so incised, you couldn't really notice the difference on a floodplain map, and no other structures in these areas would be put into a floodplain. Here we have another offline storage basin in an overbank area. This one is initially is showing some good reduction to the smaller events. I'm talking about the 2-year and the 5-year. When the 100-year comes, these are going to help a little bit, but there's still going to be an issue as you go through the town. Here's another area that the Corps really liked for their debris basin. It's really incised area that this is one of their top priorities of when they start getting into their alternative development. They're going to really, they really like this area, and they're going to probably concentrate on this. So where we're at right now is, we're just holding, we're waiting for the Corps to come back with a review. Then we're going to incorporate their comments, and we'll have the existing conditions done. And then we'll really get into the alternative analysis. And once we have these alternatives developed, then we're going to look at, okay, what do they cost? What about the available land use? What kind of mitigation are we getting downstream? And we're going to put together an evaluation criteria and kind of rank these out. And then when you do that, you can see which ones really rise at the top. Which ones do you really get flood reduction for the least amount of cost? Is there any utilities nearby that we have to worry about? There are some parcels that FMI said that if we could have alternatives, they would dedicate the land, so there's cost savings there. But we're not quite at that point yet. I can see that being in the February to March area, where we get into that evaluation, and then we produce our final report, and then it goes into the next phase, with FEMA. We do here's our recommended areas that we want to do, here's our rough cost items, and then work with Miami to work with FEMA to get the next funding to get some of these alternatives built.
Does all that include factoring in the south canal that we're supposed to be looking at to dig out on the other side, south side of Highway 60, where the railroad tracks are? Are you aware of that?
Where are we talking?
South of Highway 60, where the railroad tracks are right now. The intent there is to put in a canal, to take some of the load off the creek that we have here now.
Mayor, I can answer that. They don't have that information yet. We're waiting for the ASU to present the book. The alternative was created in conjunction with the town of Miami during the beginning of the year 2025. But no, it's not included at this moment on that road.
It's an ask and give them an idea of what we're looking at.
Yeah, we definitely would like that information, because, we were just getting an initial Yeah, it's perfect timing for us to get that information now, as we're doing this initial assessment. I think that'd be really helpful.
Question?
Go ahead.
Does this study that you're doing include, whatever it is ADOT's doing at the channel out down here?
Yeah, we've been coordinating with them, we have their plans, and we're incorporating that new information into the terrain to reflect that area. And their goal, was protecting the road, which is obvious, and so we're gonna, once that's completed, that's gonna be in our existing condition, because they're gonna put some heavy rock on the side slope to protect it. And that just means we have to change a value in our model to reflect that. It won't be as smooth, water going through there, which is good because it's going to protect the road, but we have been coordinating with them as well.
Anybody? Go ahead.
Yes, Alexis, is it possible to get these maps in color? And if I can have a copy, or maybe other council members might want to have the copy and put it in their boxes. I like the colors, so if it's emailed, I don't have a color printer, but if we can have to Alexis and then you can give it to our council.
No problem. Another thing to note on what I'm showing you now is just flow depths. We also have another one that shows velocities, and that's really important because if you get velocities over 5 feet per second, that's water that's moving very fast and is very unsafe. You want to definitely protect residents. If you have 10 feet of water that's not moving, well, that's one issue. If you have 2 feet of water that's moving very fast, that's a safety issue in and of itself. So we'll have that information for you as well.
A question I always bring up when there's an opportunity. What's really hurting this town right now is this level of the floodplain. A lot of businesses won't even talk to us because of that. Would you be able to give us a kind of a picture of where that level is now and where you would?
Yes.
Could you tell us that right now?
No. Well, I mean, with the existing condition, you can see, right here is the culvert crosses UX 60. Some of these structures aren't being inundated, but then you have this area here as the flow breaks out of the wash upstream, it's inundating all these and then flowing over across the US 60 over in this area. So another alternative we'll be looking at is what can we do to the wash itself. If we put a flood wall upstream, that means we're going to be conveying more flow downstream, so we have to protect these structures as well.
Right.
And what would that look like?
Right. And that picture we see there, can you give me a number, a level? How many feet right now?
Well, this blue here is 2 to 4 feet. The green is 4 to 6. And then as you get red, that's over 15, so.
The report I keep getting is anywhere by around 50 feet, which sounds ridiculous to me. But anyway, that's what they keep coming up with. But it'd be nice to be watching that figure because that's what's going to be attracting businesses here. Franchises and the like. I've tried for years. I've tried Kentucky Fried, Arby's and the like, and even the grocery store. They just laughed at me. There's no way.
Yeah, once, and I would think we'll get the comments back from the Corps. We could probably have the existing condition, and this is without considering upstream fire, we could have those in 2 or 3 months for you guys.
Excellent. Nice to be working with them. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's a good report. Looking forward to the pictures. Okay, let's move on. Item 9C, information and discussion only, update regarding the Adonis Neighborhood Watch Program registration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. So a brief update on the BlockWatch implementation. That seems to be a revival of previous efforts. Typically, when you set up a BlockWatch, you get your captain, your secretary, your co-captain, define your area, and then you would proceed to get it registered on the National BlockWatch Registry. Well, that procedure has now changed, as I did attempt to register the Adonis BlockWatch. And the website said, we're not doing that anymore. And, quote, we are currently in the process of discontinuing the National Neighborhood Watch website registration and account management. The website will transition to being a resource for information only, so you don't need to log in to access any of the information. And then they have also looking at partnering with Nextdoor. I don't know whether you folks are familiar with the Nextdoor app, but there could be another tie-in there. So the previous procedure to organize, register, and be recognized now is just let's get organized. We can still buy signs, stickers, window decals through the, let's see here. It's a new website, and it's nnw.org/Nextdoor. And that's where all that information can be done. So, with that being said, the Adonis folks are ready to start their project. We had a meeting with myself, Alexis Rivera, and Joe Sanchez, who's part of the committee. We went ahead and finalized the neighborhood BlockWatch sign placement, and I've been given a date of September the 15th or sooner for sign placement. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them, but that's my report.
Who's paying for the signs?
The first batch of signs were donated by the county. And there are 3 signs that are going up on Adonis.
Bill, what you're saying, it doesn't go nationally anymore?
Correct.
It just stays within your state?
It just stays within your community.
Which makes sense.
I kind of have an announcement to make that we're having our first meeting September 3rd. It's been changed for the Pershing Circle neighborhood. Be at 4 o'clock at the library. I'll get the word out. Kind of share what you just shared with us.
Okay. I can get you a copy of this too.
Yeah.
So, not a problem. And there was another question.
But
Would it be beneficial to piggyback with other neighborhood watches?
I think so. I think it'd be an excellent idea for some cross communications
Just
and
like districts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else? Let's move on, 9D. Information, discussion, possible action, consideration, and possible approval of the Town of Miami employee pay classification and pay scale. Alexis and Karen.
Mayor and council, in front of you, you have the pay scale by classification. You want to, these changes are necessary and specific for the police department because we, for the last 3 years, we increased the salary, paid base salary from $18 as today is $26, and some modification was necessary. One of the other reasons behind this request, we need to understand that cost of living in the United States since 2023, 2024, and 2025, it went up from between the 22% to 27%. And sometimes family members are in struggle to maintain the balance between the salary that they receive and the way that they can live for, the family of 4 and the family of 6. It is important that we can maintain that balance government-wise and for our staff.
Alexis, on the, I guess you would say on the steps for the police department, looking at our police officer 1 and 2, I thought that the steps would be higher than that on the hourly that we had discussed previously during our budget session. Police officer 1 and police officer 2 on the steps. I thought they would be up to, 26, 28.
They start right now at 26. They are right now, as today, they're $26 per hour.
So I'm looking at police officers 1 and 2 on the steps.
Yeah, that's line 8. Yeah, line 8.
Okay, I'm looking at a different, I'm looking at this one.
Oh, okay.
And it's showing the steps of the hourly. Is that the old one, or because it
Yeah,
says
these-
approved to 2/13/23? So I don't know. So I go off of the steps. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah.
The other page that says 2025 base scale
And
steps.
This is the new one, the
Oh, okay.
legal one.
Oh, okay. And it's going to be range number 5.
8 and 9.
Oh, 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Okay. So currently, right now, they're at 1848 and 19. So if you're a police officer 1, it's 1848, and if you're 2, it's 1904 currently.
Currently, we have the reserve officer, the police 1, that is at line item 7. They start on $18.
Okay.
And then you have your officer 2, is line 8. They're starting 24, but our officer right now, they're 26.
So what line is that? 26.
The sergeant.
So where is it showing 26 currently? Let's say 26. You said it was 26. Did you say 26?
Yeah. The officer, if you look at line 8, column between 3 and 4, that's what our officers, they are at $26.
I don't see it, but where's the 26 at?
So based off on this pay scale, Vice Mayor, they would be on step 3.
Oh, step
We don't
3.
have anybody under the 2547. We're actually, the police officers are 26. So based on this pay scale, they fall between 3 and 3.5. So based on what we have in front of us.
So currently, where do we have police officers? You said that.
Between column 3, on the
Column
line
3.
8,
Okay.
and 3.5.
Okay. And then the steps would be increments. What would be the steps then?
4, 4.5, 5.
Oh, okay. That's the range.
Correct.
So they're currently at, you said 8, and then the steps start at 4.5, or 4 to 5.
3 to 3.5.
Oh, 3 to 3.5. So 2547 and 2624 is what?
Yeah. Because what happened back in 2023, we start at that moment, mayor and council request increase for salary for the police department. We present a 3 years process that was approved. Now it's different from this scale, but the reason you see that it's at $26, but they are right now between 3 and 3.5. They are ahead of the, basically, of the step number 3 on the line item 8.
So they can go all the way to step 12 then, at 36 is what you're trying to say?
Yes.
So 33, 26 on steps all the way to 12, just looking at step 12.
That's correct.
And this is looking at a 5-year plan, because, you know, things could change in 5 years, where it has to come before council again, or how does that work?
We want to verify that we want to create a revenue scale. We want to, because right now, as we talk over the conference, the revenue size for a small town is going to be a challenge. But at the same time, we need to start finding other options of revenue, creating other kind of taxes. But that's something that we need to start working now.
Because, you know, like I said during our budget session, like, administration shouldn't be the number one general fund. The police department should be the biggest general fund money. So, you know, we gotta make sure that there is money available for the police department.
Yeah, no, we understand that for the last 2 years that Mayor and Council presented the concern about the police department and infrastructure, work conditions, etc. And that's what we work.
So we gotta make sure we implement that, keep that in place, regardless of where the funding, you know,
Yes.
say looking for funding, you know, that should be the biggest general fund, is that police department.
But at the same time, like the audit said, we want to maintain that balance on revenue expenditures, creating that, maintain the request from Mayor and Council, but at the same time, maintain the balance in our finances.
Next, I got a couple of questions. The rates that we just talked about, do they apply to the part-time police officers as well?
No, we don't have part-time, we have the reserve, and the reserve there in the line item, number 7.
Number 7?
Yes,
And what range?
$18.
And that's going to be their new rate, once we approve
Yes,
COLA or whatever.
yes.
I got, over on employee range classification, there's a police SSO office manager, range 5. Is that Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay, any other questions?
There's a note where it says, reserve police officers are not subject to salary increases. But if you're going on number 7, and you go across, at 2, there is increases.
It's like that because I have a police officer 1 and then reserves in that same category.
Okay.
And typically, reserve police officers are not subject to annual reviews and pay increases because we're also doing them a favor by helping them keep their certification so they can actually do their high-paying jobs down in the valley, their security jobs.
But wouldn't that fall under the COLA?
Yes, so if.
For reserves?
Yeah, so what would happen is, council with this budget already approved the COLA, which is built into this pay scale already. So say next year you guys do another COLA, this pay scale will get readjusted with the COLA you approve. So if you don't do a COLA, then the pay scale won't change. But if you do a COLA, then the pay scale gets adjusted.
That's where it moves up the ladder.
Right, and that won't happen unless council approves it in the budget, the COLA.
Any more?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion for the approval, consideration approval, possible approval of the Town of Miami employee pay classification and pay scale.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Sash, motion to approve. Councilman Medina, seconded.
Question.
All in favor, say aye.
I still got a question.
Oh, sorry.
Alexis, with all these increases for this fiscal year budget, is it going, if they're having any raises in here, is that included in this year's fiscal budget that we just passed in July?
Yes.
Okay, so all these increases of different steps that they go up.
Yes.
And so when they do this, can you go from step 3 all the way to step 12?
That's based on recommendation of the supervisor.
And so, based off of what?
Performance.
Oh, that's gonna be on the next item?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, well, I'll have a discussion on that then.
Okay, so we'll move, start voting. All in favor of item 9D, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
9E, information, discussion, possible action, consideration, and possible approval of resolution number 1318, amending that certain document entitled the Town of Miami, Arizona Personnel Manual, amending section 12, merit, and section 26, performance evaluations, providing for repeal of conflicting resolutions and providing for severability. Karen?
Mayor and council, this falls in with the pay scale just a little bit, but I wanted to clear up the personnel policy when it came to annual reviews and merit increases, because each year when employees were getting their increases, it was saying merit, 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 and that there was no description of what merited that. So what I did was I got with, I went through listserv, the city clerk listserv, and asked them to send me their definition of merit raises and how they do merit raises, and then their annual reviews and how they do their annual raises. Now I got a lot from the bigger cities which wouldn't apply to us, so basically I went with population 5,000 and under, and I kind of seen they were all going with how they defined merit increase, and I put that in here as 12.4 to define it specifically in our personnel policy on what a merit increase, what would somebody need to do to get a merit increase. So that way if a supervisor is wanting to do a merit increase, they could look at this and say, okay, does this define and, a merit increase? Now then, with the pay scale though, it sets up their annual increase. So you have your annual review, then you go to your pay scale, and you look and you see what their next step would be and how you want to do their annual. So that way we're not constantly having merit increases.
good with me. Any comments to that?
One of the things I did want to point out, and if you guys had a chance to look at the resolution, is our personnel policy had that employees have quarterly reviews, and then it's done by it's done by the supervisor and a peer and someone else, and I thought, well, we don't do that anyways, it's just, we don't have time, that's not, it's just not something we do. So I tried to simplify it to back to the basic annual review, and then when I did get with Maria, we talked about, we would like to do, a lot of places do their annual reviews by the employee's hire date. We would like to do them, and I wrote it in here for October. That way, council passes the budget in July. We start our new fiscal year budget in July. That way, supervisors know, hey, you gotta get your reviews done, get them turned in, and then we can, review them and then have everything ready to go by October. Instead of doing one in July, one in September, or one in January, all annual reviews will happen in October. And that's for the classified employees. Of course, it wouldn't happen for like Alexis or myself or the attorney because we're contracted.
Any comments?
Down here.
So, Alexis, I see on the last, page, it's employee performance evaluation. And so it looks like there's like 15 indicators that is going to determine if there's going to be you would say, a performance pay. It's a rating 1 through 5.
5 the higher, 1 the lowest.
So if somebody, is there going to be like a total? Like if somebody gets, I don't know, if there's 15 times 5, is there going to be a window that says, okay, if they meet, 50 points, they do get a performance raise, or if it's under 50 and it has to come back for reevaluation? How does that work on this number rating?
That's a good question. We don't have a scale for the performance, like you say, let's say like in the grade, you have 100 to 90 as an A. Yes, it's something that we need to specify.
Well, I stayed away from that. Specifically, just I didn't want to put a number on whether somebody was going to get their annual raise or not. I kind of left that open, so you just, when you look at it, you get an overview of how that employee does. If they're going to get all 1s, you know what you're looking at, right? If you get all 5s or 4s, you know what you're looking at. You're looking at a stellar employee who you're most likely going to give them the 1-step raise. In the pay scale, we did build in a half-step raise. So if somebody does get, not a great review, but you want to give them a raise, but you don't want to give them a full step raise, you could give them that 1.5, that half-step raise.
The other question that I have is I'm just saying like number 12, this is job-related growth and development, and then you rate them 1 through 5, and I'm just saying all 15 of these, they're almost like subjective, depending on the department head. I would like to see some form of evidence, so like job-related growth and development, like to have a line in there that says, okay, this is where they developed, this is where they grew, and not just pick a number.
It's on the back page.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, flip it over.
On all 15? On
Yeah,
all
so
15?
when a supervisor fills this out, they'll actually fill out the back of it.
But, I mean, do they have evidence on all 15
Well,
indicators?
I don't know specifically what evidence you would be looking for.
Like say first one, job knowledge. Okay, what job knowledge do they have where the the evaluator can provide evidence whether the application use of work time, evidence of how they use their work time, or I'm just saying dependability and reliability, they're here every day, like having evidence written down there on each indicator.
I guess they could just write a little note right there.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if there's a line in there that can show evidence
Yeah.
to justify.
They could write their notes right there, and then on the bottom, I left that for job specific, because of course, transit will have specific things that they want to do their reviews on, and then public works, library. I don't think, though, I do want to point out, this would not be something the police department would use. Theirs is completely different, and I haven't had a chance to get with Chief on how they do that, but I know it's completely, this would not apply to anybody in the police department.
Got the training.
Yeah, because of their training and their certifications that they're required to have, this will not work for them.
Mayor? Karen, we use something very similar to this at the state, and he's making a good point. For instance, where he was talking about 12, job-related growth and development. When we had to go do certain training, our training record would be added to this. So for him, what he was saying is here on the back, he could write number 12 and then show training. The supervisor could. So they would know that's specific to that line item.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would work as well. A lot of times, I know transit, they have to get certain certifications and things like that. When they get that, they bring it over and I put it in their personnel file.
Right.
So that we know that each driver has their certifications or whatever, that they're good. But we can also, like, refer to that too, like that it's in their file that they did complete it, or.
Right, if they want to do certain training,
Right.
and they got certified on it, then it could be shown in there.
Right, like if we have a driver in Public Works that gets their CDL, then, they can just like put, and I don't know, if CDL might move them into a whole nother job bracket, I'm not sure without looking, but something like that would show on there as well.
I just wanted to answer a couple of Vice Mayor's questions.
Yeah, and I did, I got with a few others, a Thatcher, Eloy, Springerville, and kind of looked at what they did for their employee evaluations. And this is pretty similar. I just kind of made this out of bits and pieces of the ones that I did get and looked at. I wanted to keep it basic. I wanted to make sure that it was something that the supervisors had time to do and that they were going to do it. If you make it overly structured, they're probably not. They're not going to do it as well or do it at all, kind of like how our personnel policy was with the annual reviews. We didn't do it. Why? Because nobody has time to do every employee's review quarterly.
Never heard of quarterly reviews anyway.
Yeah.
Mid-year reviews.
Jack, did you have something to say?
How about mid-year reviews?
Most of the time, we don't have employees to do that. They're gone before mid-year. They don't even make it a year.
So how do they know how they're performing? Like if they're screwing up, you're gonna get them at the end of the year and say, oh, you didn't make it?
That's up to their supervisor. That's their supervisor's job. Yeah.
To let them know, like during the middle of the year, hey,
If they get a, I don't want to say a warning, but a disciplinary or a counseling, it does go in writing. Oh, sorry, yes, okay.
Go ahead,
It gets done in writing.
So Thornburn, I think it's 1430 Stash, because my address is redacted. So my question was partially answered by Kara regarding the police department and those metrics. So I was in law enforcement before I served in the role I serve in now, and they do have their own very specific set of metrics. It just still on topic or relative or relevant is with these pay increases, it would be my hope, and I know there's a new chief now and he's got to get settled in. My hope is that that's going to be monitored, if they're going to be paid this additional monies, and Vice Mayor, I have still failed to provide you with the data set that we had talked about, but certainly an example of just some of the little things is that we all saw this ambulance race by the front of the city hall. Well, that's because there was a child choking at Livos. And the reason that's relevant to this is that the Miami police officer was sitting at the police department. So when they don't respond to medical emergencies, they had to wait, that child and that family is sitting there panicking because the police department, the officers just sitting there. So they had to wait for Tri-City to respond all that time. So they talk about first responders, and there's this policy that I just personally know to exist that was adopted some time ago, that law enforcement doesn't respond to medical emergencies. They should be. Because while that response time is taking place, you don't have a local fire department. That kid is choking, the officer's trained. There's somebody overdosing, they have Narcan, they can deploy that while medical is out. Somebody's having a heart attack, they can start CPR while somebody's on the way. And that's just one little example of some of the metrics I hope are going to be utilized for law enforcement. Calls for service, self-initiated calls. If somebody's walking at 3 o'clock in the morning, it should be a policy that the officer stops and talks to that person. I mean, it's not illegal for you to be out at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you should say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? There's all these little things. As a law enforcement supervisor in my previous life, I'm hoping that those things are all monitored at the police department. Because if you're going to pay them more money, I certainly hope you expect more out of your officers while they're out here. It's the Autobahn out here. I know that's a common theme. I mean, I know I get the citations from DPS and the sheriff's office in your jurisdiction. Not a whole lot from your police department. So just some things to make the board. Not anti-law enforcement. I'm glad that you're paying what you're paying. They need it, but if you're going to ask more, I mean, if you're going to pay more, you should be able to ask more and be able to set that bar. That was my thing as a law enforcement supervisor. And so with these evaluations, I just wanted to maybe highlight that for everyone.
That was a good point. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Go ahead.
Karen, on this one, say there is an evaluation, is there going to be a separate form in case an employee can appeal that? And say, you know, hey, I question number 5 or I question number 6 because I do have this or that. Like, is there an appeal process when they go through this evaluation for the employees so they have rights too?
They can put their comments there or, you know, appeal there. But we do have an appeal process. I believe that's in the personnel policy. I don't know if it applies specifically to pay raises and such, but we can look at it if you want me to take a look at it, I will. And if we need to add an appeals process for a pay
Because I'm just saying, like,
I'm not sure. We could ask the attorney. Would that be something that happens?
It's a bad idea.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think you want to have, you don't want to give process rights for reviews. Review is a review. I think the town has a grievance process, but typically those aren't, you can't use those for reviews and merit increase decisions. It's typically work type conditions. So I just think that you're asking for, once you start giving employees, you know, the right to appeals and hearings, you have to then give that to them, and then all of a sudden, the question is so where does it end? So ultimately, the final decision is with the manager, and so any kind of, and typically appeals on employee, for instance, employee discipline, or any kind of appeals to a board or hearing officer advisory anyway. So I think I advise against having appeals processes for evaluation decisions or salary increase decisions. It should be reserved for employee discipline. And again, those should always be essentially an advisory appeal, and the manager makes the ultimate decision. The employees are they're not technically at will, but you have to have a clause once you pass probation, but ultimately the decision is the manager's and not some appeals board or some hearing officer. So I would advise against having appeals for things like evaluations and salary increases or pay increases.
because my question is like, we just discussed about certification. If the town manager or the department heads give them a 1 because, you know, they don't have any certification and the employee's saying, yes, I do, I got certified like CDL. And so he does have proof of that, and then he's gonna get deemed on that. So, you know, on behalf of the employees, I think they, you know, I'm just saying it's not gonna happen every day. It's not a reoccurrence problem, but I mean, if it does, I think they should have a say on some of these evaluations where they can, you know, have their evidence. And I don't know if that's your legal, if it's a legal opinion. I mean, not a legal opinion, but, you know, like a statute or what, but to avoid that.
Well, I typically, for certifications or courses or classes or anything, it needs to be job related. So if someone were to get a CDL, but it's not related, it's not needed for their job, you're not going to count that as a certification. So I would just advise that, you know, that the employee does have the space on that form to comment him or herself on there, and that goes into the personnel file. So, you know, I think if someone, ultimately those decisions are the supervisors and then the manager, you know, and the only time that the employee would have some, I guess, a due process type right is if the employee claims that the decisions made on the review or on the salary increase or the pay increase were done for improper reasons. They're a protected class member, and the decisions are made not based on merit, but based on something other than merit, like race, gender, religion, those kinds of things. So that's where we can try and, you know, limit it down to those kinds of non-relevant factors.
Thank you.
Mayor, question for Karen. Do we only accept applications or resumes when the job is posted?
Yes.
So nobody can just come in anytime and ask for a job?
No.
Why not?
Wait a minute.
Why not? Do you want me to tell you why not?
Yeah. No, I was talking to Councilman.
Oh, okay.
I think Jordan beat you. Go ahead, Judge.
I'll be quick. No, I just was going to quickly comment on the county process. Karen is absolutely right. It's the part of the year that I loathe. We have software that we are forced to utilize for our performance evaluations. I don't recommend that software, so if you have a simplified version of it. But I will tell you that the process is, and maybe you just add some additional space. I haven't seen the forms, but procedurally, like I would conduct my review. It gets sent to the employee, or in this case, you could call them in, however procedurally you're going to do that. They are then allowed a period of time, and there's a space for them to add comments to absolutely every single one of the items. So anytime so we should expect a normal employee should just be all threes. The expectation is you come to work on time, you do your job, right? So there's your baseline. If they can't be on time, okay, now we're going to deduct that. But you've got to be able to pull out a data set and say, on this many days, they were tardy this many times, yada, yada, yada. Same thing for a lot of these points. Just to throw out there when you're talking about, we don't have this range to measure, but we are beholden to that list, and then the employees all have an opportunity to respond to all of that before it ever goes to the, in our case, HR is the final review, and then they get sent up to the county manager, who I think it's a ministerial function by the time it gets to him. But just to throw it out there about the employees having that availability, that's what's built into our system. So.
Thank you.
You said quick.
I know.
My turn?
I'll let
I just wanted to add that I've experienced these evaluation programs both in the military and up here at the mine, quite a few years up here at the mine, like 40-some years. And anyway, up both areas, we never treated these as a negative. We use this as a training tool because I don't know how it would be done here, but in my case, in both places, we would sit down and evaluate the individual and explain to them why they're getting this grade. And if they didn't agree, there's a section on both of them why he doesn't agree. And also sometimes the boss needs to know what kind of experience and training they've had that might help in that evaluation. So it becomes a discussion, and everything's written down here. And in both cases, it's awfully important because documentation can, if you don't have that good documentation, it'll come back and bite you in the rear end. So mainly that's the best part of this. But the way we would view it is it's a building tool. You know, it's not to whip somebody or anything like that. And it works. It works really good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ready to vote?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept 9E as written.
Second.
Okay. Councilman Stewart made a motion to accept 9E. Councilman Medina seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item 9F, adjourn to executive session. Executive session pursuant to ARS 38-43.03 A3 and 4 for discussions of consultations for legal advice with the town attorney in pending or contemplated litigation in the matter of the notice of claim submitted by William Clemens on behalf of B&R Outlaws LLC and Total Engineering LLC. Need a motion to...
Mayor, make a motion to go into executive session. Second.
Okay, Sas made a motion to exit, and Medina seconded. Let's go. I want to let
A vote on it.
Vote. Oh, still need a vote too, sorry. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And I wanted to let the people that are sitting here, when we come back out, we'll probably be just ending this thing. Adjourn.
Folks, there's pizza
Welcome.
and chips back there and some other goodies, and you're all welcome to them. Except my friend back there.
That would be me.